Good morning, everybody. I had an interview scheduled and I logged in to talk to the guy. Talked to him for about 30 minutes and we were getting ready to start the interview and somebody came by to talk to him. Um, and he had to go because he had to talk to them. So hopefully we'll have an interview in the future together. In the meantime, I've been reading a book called uh, Bright Light on hold on. Bright Light on Black Shadows. I might read this book aloud, but I'm going to read something that happened. It was a conversation between a perp and a target in 1988 that was recorded in her book. Ronnie Kiel was a Finnish meaning Finland, from Finland, parapsychologist, author who was targeted. Um, and she died on 8th of February 2015, and everybody thinks it was pretty sure that it was due to direct energy weapons. Okay, so she wrote this book, and one part of this book, I noticed this on Eric Carlson site, so I was like, well, man, I need to read this and see what it says, and pretty interesting conversation. So I'm gonna read it to y'all, the whole conversation between the perp and the target, and you can take what you want out of it. I thought it was interesting, and I'm working on other stuff. Like I said, I'm a very busy person around here with responsibilities and housework and stuff like that. But I do have time for interviews and stuff, and I should have some interviews coming up. They're scheduled. We'll play it by ear. Like I said, I had one today, and I'm still going to interview the person that just got interrupted. Okay, so Ronnie killed. Um, you know, it's about the book is about years of research conducted by Dr. Ronnie Kilt, and I think it's still interesting today, even though it's an old book. So it talks about heart, beams, electromagnetic waves, masers, target innocent civilians. Excuse me, I'm fitting to have to cough. I hate coughing in these videos, but anyway, so I'm going to be reading this book online. Soon, but I am going to read this interesting conversation that was recorded by her. You know, another. I got a bunch of books to read, um, and I haven't caught up yet on, and I'm not done with this one. Here's just a. Well, let me find the other one. These are a few of the books on my plate to read. This is one that we have, The Art of Psychological Warfare. Ted Gunderson referred this book to us in a interview he was doing, well, a speech he was doing, and we got it, and we haven't read it all yet. Pawns in the Game by William Guy Carr. Now, I might read this one out loud online, and then we got this one, Closing the Gap, about gang stalking, communicating notifications to System Awareness Registry. Uh, Closing the Gap, matter of fact, I found out about this by my handler sending me Community Policing by James Harkin, and it sounds like he read straight out of that book when he was trying to inform us about it. Very good video he done. I've watched it a lot on the years because I can relate to exactly what he said. I experienced exactly what he said about the notifications getting sent out to everybody. Code Name Pretty Eyes by Pamela Ann Austin. Uh, and if anybody would like me to read one of these books out loud, just put it in the comments and I'll be glad to. And Transhuman Genocide, Enemy at the Gate, The Ultimate Guide to Direct Energy Weapons. So anyway, let me get to reading this. Like I said, I had an interview um today, and it's going to be a good interview when I get to interview this guy. So it's going to be a really good interview. Plus, this dude knows a lot about shielding and stuff too, and is building stuff too to try to help us at a cheaper price than the Silent Night device and all these other devices being sold at such high prices. Okay, so here we go. Okay, so Ronnie Kild wrote, a good friend of mine was able to give insight. Hold on, let me like this where I can. Okay. Now I can just use the up and down button. Okay, a good friend of mine was able to give insight to a way a harasser actually created a criminal mind recruited for an intelligence organization works. In 1988, and you got to understand these people are in Finland, Norway, and stuff like this. This is where this all this stuff's coming from. In 1988, she had this conversation with her nanny, whom she had hired in the USA to take care of her child, whom she took to Norway during a holiday summer. One morning, the nanny suddenly said to her employer, a beautiful woman with a good background. And all right, so I'm gonna be going in between them. So the perp is AG and Eve is the target. Okay. One morning the nanny suddenly said to her employer, a beautiful woman with a good background, you do not know who I am. And I'm gonna zoom in. And Eve said, oh yeah, you're AG, which is her initials. And AG said, no, I'm a soldier. The perp, I'm just going to refer to the AG as the perp. The perp said, no, I'm a soldier. Eve said, yeah, right. The perp said, I get more money than you do. And Eve said, how? And the perp said, well, I get commission. And this is 1988. And Eve said, out of what? And the perp said, it depends on how valuable the items are, the information is. You know, you will be wiped of everything you have. Eve said, anything is possible, but no one can touch what I have in Norway because I have no loans. And the perp said, ha, this is what you think. Your properties with inventory down to a spoon are on computer already with different ownership. At this point, I was sure she wanted to make herself interesting by making up this bizarre conversation. And Eve said, you're talking nonsense. And the perp said, no, you wait and see. After the year 2000, they have gotten everybody. And Eve said, who are they? The perp said, the organization, drug lords, intelligence agents, men turned drug lords, bribed, and now they control the majority of the world, but no one knows it. Eve said, nonsense. So what does it have to do with me? I'm a nobody. The perp said, you have assets and art. Eve said, so what? And I guess this woman was targeted because of her assets and art. Now, you don't have to have stuff to be targeted. This is just one incident that I'm reading here. The perp said, well, for us at the bottom level, it adds up. Eve said, who are you working with? And the perp, the Norwegian woman who recommended her, the nanny, and a third person, a real expert. Then we have a boss. It will all happen to you without you knowing it. It's a so subtle, so well done. When it is all too late, then you will know. Horrible stories will be told about you. Even your neighbors, friends, and your own family will turn their backs. Sound familiar? Anybody been through that? I'm sure a bunch of you watching have. I know I have. Eve said, this is absolutely crazy. I've never done anything criminal. I don't know any criminals, and no one I know would want to hurt me, so why me? Your story does not make sense. The perp said exactly. That's the whole idea. You came from the sunny side of life. You have everything. You're intelligent, beautiful, never had a struggle in your life. This is why you're perfect. You've not, and I, again, this is a different incident on why she's targeted. People are targeted from different reasons. What matters is this program is being carried out on a lot of different people, but this is just this situation. This is why you're perfect. You not lived a life defending yourself. You don't know what hardship is. Well, you will get it. You see, it is not fair to all of us who have suffered. We have it coming to us too through people like you. This is why the organization is so big. Everybody goes for it. Why should you have 15 or 16 mattresses and others have none or one? We are the masses against the minority. You haven't got a chance. At this point, I believed, and this is Eve talking about the perp. At this point, I believed that AG, the perp, had to be very disturbed. But I continued the conversation by asking her what happened in her life. She said she was thrown out by her husband with $30,000 to start a new life. Then everything was stolen from her by some big drug lord she fell in love with. He lived in the largest mansion at that place, and she got recruited, sent to a training camp. And I'm not going to say the trainers, you got to read it yourself. Through a certain organization, you got to read it, zoom in and read. I'm not going to say it online. She was sent as a nanny cover to Norwegian lady's ex-husband to steal during nights. Locations of state documents and valuables were stolen. She said they worked as sisters with one rule, secrecy. Never tell your sister what your assignment is, and each with their boss's instructions once a week. The perp continued, you see, the whole point is that none can prove anything. This is the basic rule, elimination of proof and loyalty. Those that talk get eliminated. This person said, are you Jewish? She said, yeah, born in Eve said, are you Jewish? And the perp said, yes, born in Hamburg. I've never had a fixed address, but stay with other recruits around the world. You see, no one can get me. I have access to lawyers and judges anywhere who protect me. You see, those in the organization are guaranteed salaries, tax relief, old home, and health care. Those who are not in the organization will be left out from the computer. They cannot even use money. But many will die and no one will understand, but think it's from natural causes. Okay, so uh, a lot of these perps nowadays don't have that access, but this is in 1988, so I'm sure a lot of stuff's changed. Still interesting information. Okay, Eve said, asked the perp, "What do you mean? You mean they don't kill with guns?" The perp laughed. Guns, she laughed. We haven't used guns for 10 years. 1978, so 10 years from then. They use natural diseases. She kept mixing up we and they, meaning the organization. At this point, I was sure she was doing psychological terminology I lately have gotten accustomed to. And Eve asked the perp, how can you kill with natural diseases? And the perp said they have top medical staff, dentist scientists bribed up with top psychiatrists, expertise in the business and finance to take over the world with microchips and computer, which would be smart dust in our days. You see, they have every big shot capitals on the computer. They sabotage, lend money, and take over. And Eve said, well, but the owner remains the owner. And the perp continued, only as long as he is needed. You see, they build him up. They merge. It is easier to control. When they have someone from the organization trained and ready for that particular job, they get rid of the owner. Heart attacks are most common, but they have numerous other ways. Insect bite, poisons, mentally unstable. You name it, they do it. Eve said, this is crazy talk. This can never happen in Norway. The perp said Norway is the target. Norway is the target. They already have it under control. First, they take small communities until they have infiltrated all offices. Then the capital is lost and everything's too late. We have every corporation infiltrated, security firms. You see, the trick is that we get in anywhere. Only, and I'll drag the cursor over to what you need to read. Then the group right here has a lock. No one gets into. And Eve said, people in Norway will find out. The perp laughed. This is the most brilliantly self-financed war. They can see everything what another person does. They can read their minds. They cannot hide anywhere. And the same will happen to you. They can steer you. Tiny transmitters are placed in your homes, in the walls. Here I interrupted her. In order, Eve said, in order to follow me anywhere, I'd have to have a connection in my body. Precisely, the perp said. You will be implanted. The whole game is implant, microchip, and computer. They will create chaos and sabotage everywhere and draw attention away from serious issues. Ooh, is that happening? Think so. The Norwegian people will not do that, Eve said. The perp said they organized all the down and out people, those in wheelchairs, lost jobs, old folks' home. After a planned bank crisis, people will flock into the organization, but basically they take prisoners, youth without homes, and family ties, to training camps where they are IQ tested, trained according to potential, trained in burglary, sabotage, microchip for mind control, then return them to Norway. Eve said, why would they do this to anyone to a nice country like Norway who defends human rights and are a peaceful people? The perp said, that's exactly why, she answered. You haven't had a war for 50 years, you in Finland, why? And I believe I believe she said Finland because I remember saying they were the only countries in the world paying their war debt. And the perp said, the regions of wars have to shift. Do you think it's fair that Israel should have this long lasting war? It will be peace in Ireland and Israel, and you will lose out your resources, organizations, and homes. So this will go to other Norwegians in the organization, only temporarily, because lots of immigrants will be in Norway and they will continue the whole. It is fair, you see, because everybody gets a chance to leave a distant life sooner or later in their life. And Eve asked the perp, what motivates people to do this? The perp said, when your own airlines, banks, corporations own top computer experts in the world, what is next? The Pentagon, they control scientists and steal all info from computers after 2000. They made it like that. They're the only ones that have access to the computers after 2000. They have that chip. She kept on talking about a special chip and a grand takeover of the world is their aim. And then Eve said, look, every nation has a military and will fight these drug lords. And the perp said, they have fixed that. Elderly, those on pensions and Social Security have to be a part of the organization all in the name of national security. Everybody will be grouped. The capitalists will feel like kings. They're the last ones to know what's really happening. Each political party will be approached and kept separate in the name of unity, peace, and betterment of mankind. Everything will be legal and done through the government. You see, in order to save expenses for each nation with defense, they will have one world army. Eve said, someone will oppose. What about the terrorists? The perp said they have them too. And she named a few. You got to zoom in to see. They're all trained by tops military from every country. Unknowingly, they get chipped. With the gas, they knock you out during sleep. A tiny cut back of spine. They also cut your chin and down. They also cut your chin and down, leaving a tiny blood stripe on purpose to scare you. They use everybody when needed to their purposes. The covert activities of humans to mass enslave humans are done with lies, misinformation, covert, grotesque human exploitation and manipulation. Experimentation with the ET theme is done with enormous funding to confuse people of real knowledge of extraterrestrial life in the universe. Enslave or, yes, ruin people is the aim. Their plans and activities are beyond the conception of normal thought frame. Everything's made up, so none will believe it. It's a psychological war. You see, the internet freedom is only to register people. Everything's solicited there so they later can be called or judged. All all the porn, child porn, pedophilia will get it. In Brussels, those house offices are beamed beta, sex programming which changes your stimuli towards children. This way, the organization has something on them and they have to obey whatever they're told. Anna told her next business was children in Brazil. I asked her what her expertise was, and she answered insurance. I asked her what her latest job was and how, and she said in Australia due to her swimming abilities. She drilled a hole in the bottom of a yacht belonging to a newspaper owner. He collected insurance, and at a later date, insurance company was tipped off the yacht uh, off of the yacht were about. He got jail. What are you going to do with me? Eve said. The perp said, you will see, she answered. Besides, you are put on one very hit list with all agencies. You see, they plan your life 20 years ahead, also destroy nations. They cover the law. They have a whole new law system ready to go into use after year 2000. Starts at IRS and every little detail they know of your past, also medical and hereditary traits. There are documents on this technology how to pick up the entire past of a person, by example given interrupting you in your dream state. How does one know each day? This is war that is war in Norway. Here she gave two different variations. The perp said one, they call it a silent war, or two, the person to person war. There'll be an agent to every three people in Norway to do one in. The beauty of this is no one is really doing much harm because one does not know what the other's doing, but combined it kills. It happens over several years, no one reacts, and it is only that, for example, one person in the family gets hit. They have technology which goes direct to your brain and can make you crazy, paranoid, and angry. The idea that it is done during your sleep at 4 a.m., they wake you up to destabilize your sleep pattern to wear you down. TV, radio, CD will turn off on by itself. All electrical items will function as a slow killer. They implant your walls and roof with magnets, make a sign to your roof or house to be hit with real bliss starts. And you will hear a sound in every room all night, following you from room to room. This is how they drive you nuts. You see, a psychiatrist will say you suffer from schizophrenia, paranoia combined with a worm filament in your system, which work like a Sputnik, triggered by a computer program. When at rest, it lies in elbow or hand wrists, giving constant pain. This knuckle will be somewhat paralyzed for periods of time. The worm will eat up energy centers in your back spine, starting from the bottom up. At this point, I was paralyzed from listening to all this evil, she continued. And the perp said, Satanism, you see, is our strongest card because no one will take it seriously. The whole idea to be as evil as possible because it's unthinkable to normal people. No one can digest it. Who started all this? Eve asked. The perp said, oh, you don't understand. It's practiced on the highest levels of government. We have meetings in the desert and largest ranches, and everybody thinks up the most evil thing one can do to another person. CIA's dare evolve actually heavily. We can make ourselves transparent, but not everyone, only certain chosen for specific tasks. We have sources and do mass concentration on a victim. And Eve said, is that why we have this in Norway? Perp said, yes, through your mind control recruit, you see there's no politic, only one communist control over the world. Why are you so greedy and money conscious? Well, the communists found out they wanted money too, so they befriended the capitalists and made them work for them without understanding it. They're so easily bribed, give them 10 years and they'll be in the camps. By then, the infiltrator knows the whole system. It will be the grandest takeover in history. And Eve said, people will spot the infiltrators. Perp said, oh no, the first thing we learn are manners, then correct speech, then how to dress, and most important, acting. Yes, they learn acting, like in Lee Strasberg Acting School. They're very well trained. The name of the game is deception. After several years of friendship, they hit you. Every recruit, soldier agent must be in a charity organization to show impeccable behavior on the outside. This is important, and credibility is a main factor. Eve said, how can a woman like you lead such a false and evil life? It will all come back to you. And the perp said, it is to live or let die. So we got insight on how the criminal organization works to destroy the population with their recruits, including using invisible recruits when doing some of the harassment operations, including killing the innocent victims. And she says, like her mother, besides having 9 car accidents where I've been saved miraculously every time, there have been other attempts to eliminate me from this life. A year ago in summer, when I was writing the draft of this book at a beautiful, peaceful lakeside in southern Finland, I went to the pier and suddenly an invisible force pushed me from back, and I slipped, like with Secret Service's banana slip technique, and plunged right into the lake with my head first. There was only 1 meter of water, but a big rock under the surface. I quickly protected my head with my arm when I hit it and didn't drown, which probably was the aim, but I got whiplash in the neck. I went to a butt to sleep, some invincible. This time positive force came, and I felt like invisible fingers retreating and massaging my stiff neck. When I woke up, the pain was gone and my neck felt normal again. And so she claims she got help. But anyway, uh, she claims some mysterious hand helped her or whatever. Um, and I'm not doubting her claims. But anyway, so that last part was from Ronnie Kilde writing. I plan to read some of that book online, and I hope this helped you understand what we're dealing with here. And you have to understand that's from 1988. So uh, I don't think perps are being given that. Well, most of your low-level perps, I don't think are being given incentives like that. But I don't know. Who knows? I just thought that was interesting to share, and I hope y'all found it interesting as well. Please be patient with me and understand. I put my responsibilities first, and that's just the way it's got to be. Uh, but I am starting to get some more stuff out to y'all and interviews set up. I have a couple more interviews set up and have to get to this week. Um, I hope everyone is doing the best they can. And like I said, if any of them books I read catch your attention and you'd like to hear one read, just let me know in the comments. Um, other than that, I do a lot of research on the side and research and stuff, and I don't like bringing y'all just anything. So just bear with me. I may be a little more slower at making videos than everybody else, but I'm trying to make quality videos, quality information, and not just put the first thing I see out there, if you know what I mean. So God bless all TIs, all SRA survivors, MK Ultra survivors, non-consensual experimentees anywhere around the world who's been having experiments conducted on them without their consent.